Hi everyone, this is Darren with Sim Nation. Welcome to the new season of SNCFL. New staff hirings, training, recruiting, all that is now done, and tonight, week one, will run. So this is a quick preview video just to let you know what it looks like for the upcoming season. I'll walk through each conference, kind of talk about what I think, and also talk about some of the trends to look for. Let's start with the top 25, or maybe like the top 10. So Maryland, of course, is the defending champion. They are ranked number one. Not much has changed with Maryland. There have been some graduations, but largely they navigated the transfer market and the uh, early draft market pretty well. Uh, the defense, as scary as it was last year, may actually be better this year. So when you look at Maryland, of course, Shaka Chung is the quarterback. He's being pushed a little bit by a sophomore who came in last year to try to help when Shaka was injured. But don't look for anything to change there. Shaka will still be the starting quarterback. And of course, Maryland has a stable of running backs to help offload some of the pressure from them. On defense, it's going to be one of those years where opponents are going to hate the Maryland defense. Coming in at number two is Georgia. This is Shark. Um, Georgia had a pretty good offseason from a recruiting perspective. If we look at what they did, they went out and got themselves a really good tackle, managed to beat out people like Maryland and others. I think Georgia's success, though, is really going to come down to their ability to sling the ball. Um, Shark probably hasn't had the seasons he's wanted the last few seasons with early exits out of the playoffs. And you can see here he's lost in the quarterfinals in the round one after making the championship in 2062. I think he has the right components in place that shouldn't be the case this year. The key, though, is going to be that defense. In this league, defense differentiates you. So if he can, he's always had a good offense. You can kind of see that here. They're ranking in the top 10 every single season, most of the time in the top five. So no Shark can play offense. The key this year, though, is he's got to play a little bit stronger defense if he's going to be able to make it past the quarterfinals. And he's also had very bad luck with the luck of the draw of who he draws. So they come in at number two. Number three is Stewart and his UCLA Bruins, and of course he's got the number 4-2 team also with Michigan. UCLA is gonna have to kind of live a new life when it comes to who's under center. They have some talent there, so definitely you do expect to see UCLA do pretty well. If I had to guess, it's going to be interesting to see who starts, but I think it's probably going to be Roberts, um, who at least played last year, right? And you can see here he had a pretty meaningful season. Uh, as per usual, when you look at UCLA, Stewart is one of those guys who is always competing for the championship. He just hasn't gotten it yet, but he does have good defenses, which is why he runs so far in. Last year, he definitely had a really good offense. The only problem that they ran into last year again was luck of the draw. So I do expect UCLA to either make the finals or make the semifinals. Um, Again, he's got a really strong squad this year. It's a little bit younger than it has been in a while, but that really is not going to change much. With his Michigan squad, Michigan's biggest albatross is Maryland. They've got to get past Maryland this season. I'm not sure that this will be that season, only because of the fact that one of the big problems that he's going to run into is who is going to be that guy who is going to be throwing the ball. Uh, they lost really an all-award quarterback. And now they're going to have to retool. And when you look at these guys, you know Michigan can run the ball well. They do every season. You can see here they've got the line for it as well. Their defense is historically pretty good. And again, the only problem with them has been they're in the same division as Maryland. But I do think that if they can find who's going to be the guy under center and get some consistency out of quarterback, I think Michigan has a chance to go pretty far. You saw last year that you've seen that they've exited in round one for a while now. We'll see if he can break that trend, and definitely rooting for him. At number five is Auburn. Auburn, of course, has had the heartbreak of going up against Maryland 2 seasons, and unfortunately getting knocked out by the Terps. So last year was a little bit of an anomaly with Invisible's team. 12-3 is not really indication, but you can see the last 2 seasons, actually 3 of the last 4 seasons, he's had the number one off scoring offense. This is a team that is really, really good on offense. Their defense has continuously gotten better. You can see here that every year they're getting stronger. And I think that this is going to be a year where, if again, he can find consistency at quarterback, I think that he should do really, really well. Of course, our right is a former Maryland quarterback. So be interesting if he starts. I don't think he's the best on the roster, though. Etheridge definitely is. But as Invisible would probably tell you, Etheridge comes with a little bit of baggage with inconsistency. You can see that here where he throws as many interceptions last year as he threw touchdowns. That's not a guy who's going to win it, but the bread and butter of this Auburn squad, especially on offense, is just their ability to run the ball. They are really good at it, and they're really hard to stop. Their defense is also very good. So this is another team to keep a lookout for making the championship game. Oklahoma State, this is Skelter, one of Skelter's teams. Yeah, they have all the pieces to make a really deep run, but they've been struggling a little bit. Part of that is I don't know that Skelter's really changed his offense to match the skill set he has. With Skelter, you know what you're going to get. He's going to run the ball, and occasionally he'll throw in a pass, but predominantly it's running the ball. Which is one of the reasons why they've struggled a little bit recently, is because you're now in a league which is extremely good at stopping the run. And there are a lot of different coaches that do it. You can see the offense has really struggled, mostly because running the ball will get you a certain amount of distance and help your team, but you can see there's been a drop off even in the running where they're not as good. Their defense and their passing has not been as strong as they maybe once were. Last season they were pretty good as well. But Oklahoma State doesn't have the clear path that they used to have, because now they have to deal with West Virginia, which is V Gorilla, and of course you still have me sitting with Texas Tech. So I think they make the playoffs this year, but I think it's around one exit for them, unfortunately. And I hate to say that because I think so highly of Skelter. Clemson with Matt. Matt is one of the best coaches in the league. Clemson's underperformed a little bit. It'll be interesting to see what they do this season. They'll be breaking in a quarterback, if I'm not mistaken, and you can see Hill. They do have a really good running back in Stephen Luke. Look for him to really get things going pretty well. And again, I think when you look at his passing thing, if it was me, I think that the starting quarterback would be Marble. And Marble hasn't done bad, but he's really not been a starter. So it'll be interesting to see this with Matt's team again. They are really good at running the ball. Traditionally, they are one of the best year over year. Kind of see that Hill. He has also got one of the best defenses around. He knows how to play defense. So the key for them this year is just not have some of the issues that they had last year where they were losing some games that they should have won. 11-3, while for most coaches that's a really good mark. For Matt, that's kind of a outlier. That's not generally what you'll see with Clemson. With Duke, this is another Stewart's team. Now, Duke overachieved massively last year. And they had probably one of the best runs in recent history. They were undefeated going into the championship game. Of course, lost that game to Maryland. But you can see here, just overall, they were just a really, really strong team. There was a lot of things to like about them with how they were playing. The only thing that really kind of hurt them was they didn't have a passing game, but also some of that had to do with the main quarterback got hurt. Now, this year again, I do expect them to run the ball really well. You can see here he's got the right components for it. Depth, quarterback's going to be a little bit of an issue for him. He is going to be breaking in a new quarterback more than likely. And the main challenge here is, while Lynch looks good on paper, Lynch is one of those guys who, due to the lack of intelligence, may not actually do that well. But what you will get with Duke is they are going to compete for the ACC and likely will compete again for the title, just because I think Matt has figured out a formula that works. I'm sorry, not Matt. Stewart's figured out a formula that works for him. Louisiana Monroe, this is Skelter's main team right here. This is the team that should compete for the SEC title against Auburn, and of course they're in the same division. And if he can get past Auburn and Georgia, I think that he could make a pretty magical run this season and see how far he can go. He doesn't give a shit about quarterbacks. I'm just going to say that straight up front. Quarterback is just the guy who hands the ball off to the back. You'll see here historically, this is a team that has almost always been the top ranked rushing attack. He runs the ball and he runs it extremely well. It's hard to stop him when he starts running it. He's also traditionally one of the worst passing teams. The defense has been good the last few years. You can see two top ranked defenses in there for yards and top in the SEC. They do know how to score points. They do know how to defend against points. So the key here for him is not to get dinged up in the SEC play because he does have a pretty hard schedule this year. But I do expect them to make the playoffs and probably push into the semifinals this year. This is a pretty good team. Coastal Carolina, this is CPU. If you're interested in them, definitely let me know. Um, this is a Gittle. I'm not going to finish that statement because I would like to keep my channel. But Washington State has really come full circle. I think that he's done a really good job at restoring the Cougars who were down and out. You can see here that they are starting to come back. A lot of coaches may think that they're overranked at the position of number 11 given the historics, but this is a squad that came through the offseason with pretty good success. Again, depth is going to be a little bit of an issue at quarterback, but if he's running a short passing system or a long passing system, he's got the quarterbacks for it. He's got the running backs. I think the key here is going to be is can he find the consistency on offense that he needs to find? Can he win those games in the Pac-12? And then can he keep his quarterbacks healthy and uninjured? If he can do those things, I think he makes the playoffs. Um, and we'll skip around a little bit. Let me find someone. This is Bama. Bama is, of course, Virginia Tech. They should compete for the Coastal. I'm not sure they're going to win it because just again, Stewart has a really good squad at Duke. I think that because he has that good squad at Duke, he's just going to continue to kind of hone them in a little bit and just keep winning though. And I think Virginia Tech's missing a couple pieces to really get the consistency that Bama wants out of them. Bama's a really good coach. If he can find consistency at quarterback, I think that they're going to do really well. I think the main problem that he's going to have a little bit is his wide receiver core is not deep. And if he starts to take injuries at the wide receiver core, I think that the season is going to end pretty quickly for him. You can see here that needs to find some stability on offense. Haven't been doing as well on offense as they are on defense. So if he can get that stability on offense, I think he's going to have a pretty good season. Probably number two, probably going to a bowl. I don't see Virginia Tech making the playoffs. Southern Miss, this is Tony. Tony made the playoffs last season. I think he's going to make it again this year. He's only gotten better, candidly, since last season. He's got the right tools in order to excel, and he's shown himself really as a really strong quarterback. He's got Fitzgerald, who is a pretty special quarterback. Threw a little bit more interceptions, I think, that Tony would have liked, but I think SMU is that team that is going to make the playoffs. And again, for his hope, he's just trying to avoid running into Maryland in the playoffs because Maryland traditionally treats the first two rounds like their personal play toy. Um, but I think that this is a really, really solid team. The only thing he's got to worry about is he is in the same division as Tulsa, which is Invisible Witness, and a few other human coaches. And of course, he doesn't play Invisible Witness. So I've got to fix that next season because it's going to make it to where both of the teams could actually go undefeated and never play each other. If we scroll through here, Florida, this is Starfinder. Starfinder is in pretty good shape with Florida. I don't think they're going to compete for the SEC title. I don't see Florida making the playoffs this year. Now, Starfinder could shock me with it. I think the big problem that I see here is he's going to have to run the ball in order to have success. And the main challenge with running the ball in the SEC, especially when you have some of the coaches that sit in the SEC, it's really hard to do it. They know how to shut down the run almost immediately because you have two of the probably better coaches with running the ball in Invisible and Skelter, and they both excel because they know how to run the ball at shutting it down too. So I think this is a bowl team. I don't think that this is going to be a team that, when the season ends, will be in the playoffs. Georgia State, this again is the other team from Stewart. I think Georgia State's going to win their conference relatively easy. I don't know if they'll make the playoffs, but it's possible. You can see here that 2 seasons ago they did make the playoffs. Last season was a little bit harsher for them. They kept running into people. The schedule is somewhat favorable for them to make the playoffs. I mean, the hardest team that they really play is going to be Louisiana Lafayette and Coastal Carolina. And candidly, those are both CPU. Stewart can actually win those games. So if we go through the divisions real quick, just to kind of call things out, and if I forget anybody who's a human coach, please don't get mad at me. It's been a long day at work. Uh, Again, NC State now finally has a human coach, so it'll be interesting to see how this works. That's Starfinder. Um, and to see if he can really pull out some magic with NC State. But I think all roads still go through Death Valley for the Atlantic. I fully expect that Clemson will win this. Uh, Same thing for Duke, although now he has a different competitor in there, which is going to be Kev. Kev is at Miami. Didn't talk really much about Miami, but Miami has historically underperformed since Gary left it. Kev is a good coach. He should be able to turn them around. And whether it's this season or next, I do see Miami competing for that coastal title. I don't think anybody's going to catch Duke this season. When we look at week one, I expect Virginia Tech to beat Baylor. It's a mismatch. We'll talk a little bit more about Penn State in a bit. We'll talk about NC State. NC State, Southern Miss. I think NC State wins this, but Southern Miss is one of my teams, and Southern Miss has a pretty good rushing attack and could actually kind of disrupt a little bit. Arizona State is probably going to destroy Florida State. That is one of my teams as well. Duke should easily handle Vanderbilt, uh, North Carolina. Sorry about that. Someone's alarm was going out outside. Buffalo should beat North Carolina relatively easy. This is Curtis. Curtis is a really good coach. We talked about Matt. And with Matt, he should beat Louisiana Tech very easily. Ironically, Iowa was Kev's team. I do see Miami beating Iowa relatively easily, and then UCLA is just going to play pogo stick with Virginia. That's Stewart. There's no way that Virginia is going to beat UCLA. The AAC, now, Tony did a video on this. I'll find the link, put it in here because I think you should listen to that because he did a really good job with it. Really, when you look at the AAC, the strength is in the West, not the East. Although there are people in the East that are human coaches that should compete and make life interesting. Army, of course, is my zero to hero team this year. Will be interesting to see that. But again, in the East, traditionally, all roads go through East Carolina. In the West, it's going to get really interesting really, really fast. This is a loaded division with some of the best coaches in it. You have Tony with SMU, you have Van with Memphis, you have Invisible with Tulsa, and if I remember correctly, I think that Tulane is Gittle's second team. So this one's going to get interesting really quick, and it's going to be fun to watch. Army can actually compete with these teams, and because there's not a whole lot of human coaches in this division, it is possible that Army could take the division. Army had a really good offseason. Army versus Air Force, I like Army in this, not just because it's my team. Tulane takes on Tennessee, so this is Gittle versus Udo. Tennessee has underperformed in recent seasons. It'll be interesting to see if Udo can get off to a fast start. He normally starts a little bit slow. I kind of like Tulane in this one. SMU versus Auburn. Tony, you're a great coach, but Auburn's a great team. This one probably is going to get ugly pretty quick. Wyoming versus Tulsa. This is V Gorilla versus Invisible. This one is a push. Wyoming is one of the best rushing teams in the league. V Gorilla is a great running coach. So I think it's too close to call. Memphis versus Bowling Green. I like Van in this one with his Memphis squad. And that's really all the human games. In the Big 12, again, when we look at this division, it's really going to be a toss up between Oklahoma State, Iowa State, Texas Tech, and West Virginia to see who actually will take the Big 12. Right now, I would probably say lean towards Texas Tech, who is the defending champion for the Big 12. I mentioned some of the issues with Oklahoma State. Iowa State is now too far removed from having uh, Shark as their coach, and I think that that is going to pretty much make it to where they're going to continue to drop off. I don't think Texas has a coach, if I remember correctly. I could be wrong on that, but so it'll be interesting to see. Really, it's going to be Oklahoma State versus Texas Tech. We talked about the Baylor game. Oklahoma State will easily beat Louisiana Lafayette. Alabama, this is DWK. He should beat Texas. Texas Tech will beat Fresno State. I'm trying to remember what Fresno State is still. It's not. It's on CPU. So Toledo is, of course, if I remember correctly, Van. I think it's Van. I think he just took him. West Virginia, of course, this is V Gorilla. He's going to just run over Hawaii. Won't even be close. Big Ten, all roads lead through College Park in the Big Ten. It's just the reality of the situation. Maryland returns a lot of their team. They're going to be really hard to beat again this year. Trying to take that from them will be Michigan. Bama has a good Indiana squad this season, so I do expect him to make some noise there. Penn State is Don Lucky. He's still a year or two out from being competitive in this division. Keep an eye on Ohio State. If you want to join a league, Ohio State is a great team to take. They actually caused a lot of pain for a lot of people last year, and it was fun to watch that. When we get over to the other side, Minnesota is Shark. Keep an eye on Minnesota. I think Minnesota is really going to be the one that wins this division and probably play Maryland. Week one, Penn State should beat Pittsburgh. It'll be close. Indiana should beat Notre Dame. I don't think this one will be close. I think Bama's just going to have a field day with that. Stewart will beat Northwestern with Georgia State. Louisiana Monroe versus Purdue. This is a epic mismatch. That's just not going to end well. That one may actually hit over 70. The CPU saying it's even is full of something. Maryland versus Nevada. Maryland should easily win this one. It'll probably get ugly. Minnesota, South Alabama probably will get ugly. We talked about this one. It'll be interesting to just see how that falls out. Conference USA, there aren't many human coaches in Conference USA. Southern Miss has a good chance to win this, but again, all roads in the West go through North Texas, so they go through Denton. And then all roads in the East are either going to go through Marshall or Florida International. Florida Atlantic may compete. We already talked about the one human game this week, although if I remember correctly, Arkansas is on. Arkansas, I think, is Starfinder. So he should beat UTEP. I'm not talking about independence. The MAC is an interesting division nowadays because there are human teams in the MAC. So you have Tony at Eastern Michigan, you have Van at Toledo. Of course, you have Curtis at Buffalo. I think that is everybody. I could be wrong. And if I am, just bear with me. So I think even though Western Michigan has historically been the team to beat in the MAC, I think Tony in Eastern Michigan is probably the team to beat in the West this year. They'll get a push from Toledo with Van as well as Western Michigan. And then I think that maybe this is the season that Curtis is able to get everything working for him at Buffalo. I know he hasn't really had everything he wanted, so it'll be interesting how that plays out. Uh, in the Mountain West, I like Wyoming in this one. I think that Wyoming will win the Mountain. And then, of course, TCU is the team to watch in the West. I think that those will be the two teams that collide. Keep an eye on Cal versus San Diego State. This is Bama, and he's got a really good squad. When we talk about the Pac-12, it's going to probably be Washington State in the North. They will get pushed by Cal, who, of course, is Bama, like I mentioned. In the South, it's UCLA. Stewart's going to win. There's just such a talent gap, though. USC, it will really be a big fight between who's going to be the second place. It'll be either Van with his USC squad or me with my Arizona State squad. I think UCLA wins the whole conference. They're just that big and that different. SEC, again, the West is really a battle between Auburn and Louisiana Monroe. So Skelter versus Invisible Witness. DWK will get in there and kind of put up a fight, but I'm not sure that anyone can really get those two out of there. So it'll be interesting to see. I kind of like Auburn this year over Louisiana Monroe, but Skelter normally breaks that apart. Georgia is the uncontested top dog in the East. They should win that one relatively easy. I don't see anyone really competing. Be a question to see if Udo does pretty well. And we talked about all these games already, so I'm not going to go through them again. And then ending it all in the Sun Belt, of course, is Coastal Carolina and Louisiana Lafayette, Georgia State. Those are three big ones. Keep an eye on Troy, though. Troy finally has a human coach, and Troy has historically been able to act as a dark horse. They have Ross. Ross is a really good coach. So it'll be between those four teams. I like Georgia State and Coastal Carolina to get there. And again, we talked about a lot of these games, except for Troy should be Kentucky. Georgia State will be Northwestern. And it'll be interesting to see how it goes. So if I had to guess what the playoffs are going to look like this year, and just bear in mind that in this league, the playoffs are defined by the top 16 teams. Uh, I think that pretty much the top 10 is going to be the top 10. The remaining teams, I don't know that I see Washington making it this year. I think that there is a chance. I definitely don't see Western Michigan making it, nor Louisiana Lafayette. Colorado State will likely make it. They almost always do. I don't see Virginia Tech. I do see Southern Methodist making it. I think Ohio State's going to make a push in there. I think Miami's a team to keep an eye on as well. I like Tulsa as well as another team to keep an eye out for. And then what you will probably see is, I think Duke's already in there if I remember correctly, is that you will likely see at least 2 to 3 AAC teams make it. But I like Duke and Miami probably to make it as well as Clemson. I think East Carolina will be there along with Southern Methodist, and I think Tulsa's there as well. So it could be three teams from there. Texas Tech will probably be in there as well. I don't think you're going to see two teams from the Big 12 this year. I think you're only going to see one. Maryland, Michigan, probably Ohio State will all probably be in there. Keep an eye on Minnesota because I think that they could easily make a run and get in. I don't expect anything from the Conference USA. If they do, it'll be Marshall. Mid American, again, don't expect much here. I don't think a MAC team's going to make the playoffs this year. Uh, Mountain West is Colorado State. Pac 12 will, of course, be Washington State potentially, but definitely UCLA, maybe only one team from the Pac 12. The SEC will probably field at least three teams, maybe four, which will be Auburn, Louisiana Monroe, Georgia, and potentially Alabama. And then just keep an eye on Georgia State. They are the ones I think could do it. Now Ross, if he gets going, could get Troy in there as well. So this is a pretty long video, and I apologize for it, but this is the season preview. It will kick off tonight, and we'll see who will be crowned the champion in about a month or two. So thank you again for your time, and I will catch up with you later.